So yeah, Daryl, it's all you, buddy.
Okay, cool, man. Thank you, Dylan. Thanks for having me back, man. Welcome everybody. You know what it is. I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me today. You know what is this, what you say, Dylan? It's the fifth series. This is the fifth. I'm number five.
Five,
So you know
six,
I gotta
yeah.
bring a little bit of heat here. So today's topic, I called it "Get It Out the Mud," and some of you may have, if you've seen the slides already. Just I used a couple of pictures or the slides the same, but the whole message is all different. So rock with me, stay with your boy, and we're gonna make this happen. So today's topic is "Get It Out the Mud." What addiction and recovery have taught me. We're gonna touch these couple of things, finding my leadership and making change. I'm excited to be here with you. If you're a leader, if you're a boss, just jump in the chat box, say I'm a boss, and that's why I'm here. Let me know I'm not alone. Make sure I want to hear from you guys. How y'all doing? If you're a boss, say I'm a boss. Let's get this chat box going, man. Let's make Dylan earn his money today. All right. So is that me changing it? Dylan, or is that you?
Okay.
Am I in control of these slides?
Nope, it's me.
Cool. I see Eugene said he's a boss. Let's go. If you're a boss, say you're a boss, man. Let's go. All right. So out of the mud, man. A lot of y'all might have heard that phrase, "out of the mud." And for me, this is a special day, special topic. A lot of stuff going on in the country. My mind is going crazy with the verdict and all this stuff that's going on. So we need real bosses out there. This is why I asked you to jump in the chat box and know that you're a boss, because this is a special line of work. Bosses, we don't, as leaders, we don't sleep. We're constantly evolving and making things happen out of nothing, and that's where the phrase of "getting it out the mud," the phrase "out of the mud" means comes from the bottom and something rises to the top. But I also look at it, when I was in active addiction, I was considered, like, people would say, "You're dirty, you gave a dirty urine, you did this, he's dirty." And we try to get away from that language when we start to talk about this, try to get away from the dirty language. But you know what? As leaders and as bosses, okay, I see Kate, some more bosses in the room. I'm feeling like I'm home. I'm feeling a little better now. I thought I was alone for a second. Once again, if you just got here, if you just showed up, if you're a boss, man, jump in there. Let me know you're a boss. Let me know I'm amongst bosses. I'm amongst leaders. Let me know that. So like I said, man, that, they say dirty urns, or we're dirty, or a person is dirty, but we as leaders and people, in recovery, we like to take things and switch them up and make them our own. So I said, you know what? Okay, so if I was dirty, then that means this career, this success that I got, nobody gave me nothing. I got this out the mud, man. I brought this to the top. I got this fresh. I had nothing and I got it out the mud, man. Let's go, Dylan. What we doing, man? Give me another slide. So, I always say to people, man, those of you that are watching right now, those of you that who will watch this later, understanding, man, it's important. It's not how you start. It's not how you start, man. Our starts, it's interesting how the book starts, but you ever read a really good book and it starts one way and then it ends, and you had you couldn't predict the ending. Man, this book, this chapters and what I'm doing right now, I could never predict this ending, right? So this picture is one of my first pictures in jail. I had hair then, had the goatee, thought I was smooth. I had a little chain. See, those of you that have been in prison, or if you haven't been in prison, about, like, wearing jewelry in jail. That's it's kind of, I guess, back when I was thinking, it was symbolic, because it meant, like, who's this guy that can walk around with this chain with all these criminals? So I thought I was something. I thought I was a big deal. But, that's kind of the way it started. And let's go to the next slide, Dylan. What else we got here? So I always want to make sure that, I've had some great opportunities, like many of you will have and already have had, but I never forget where I come from. I never forgot where I came from. And those of you that don't know my story, or who have heard it before, know I spent 10 years of my life in and out of prison on the installment plan. That's kind of where my journey began. It began behind the prison walls. Like many people might have started at Harvard, might have started here, I started in prison. This was my first classroom. So those of you that are in college and you guys are doing the right thing, I'm proud of you and luck. You know what I mean? Understand my first class. This was the rec yard. Was in the rec yard, man. But I never forget where I come from, and I'm humbled and I'm blessed to be able to deliver this message and do the work and be here with you guys. I'm honored and privileged to be here because I never forget where I've come from, and I encourage you. I always want you to have that foundation, no matter how it started. I want you to be able to stand tall on that foundation. Let's go to the next slide, Dylan. Addiction is part of my story. So I thought, my story begins with crack cocaine. Marijuana and crack cocaine were my drugs of choice. And I really thought that this drug had the answer to all my problems: financial, relationships, sexual, whatever, man. This was the power. This had everything. If you had this when I was growing up, if you had drugs, then you was the man. You had drugs, you had money, you had this, you had that. And I really thought that this was the answer to all my problems. But in reality, oh, Dylan, you're moving slides on me so quick. You're bouncing me out. You're making me run fast. But in reality, let's go back to that slide for a second. I don't like to spend too much time on that, but just understanding, like, literally thought this was the answer to all my problems. But little did I know, as Dylan just jumped up a little bit, let's move a little bit forward. It wasn't the answer to my problems. It actually was the beginning to all my problems, And, here I spent May 7, 2007 is the last time that I was arrested. The last time I was in the back of a police car. I was held on $250,000 bond. And I just really, like I said, we don't, I see another boss in the room, but this is why this is important, because I want you guys to be thinking about always never forget where you come from. Never forget what got you here, because this picture and the journey keeps me humble, because I always remember what this day was like when I was in jail, under arrest, $250,000 bond. Ended up going to prison, 4 years, assault on a police officer, literally the worst day of my life. But was it? At the end, now when I tell this story, I say, you know what? I could proudly tell you and anybody else that this was the last day. This was the last time that I was in the back of a police car. And this was the last time that I put a substance in my body. So this, even though it started out, like I always say, like I said in the beginning, how you start doesn't necessarily mean this is how we're going to finish. And, this is part of the story. Let's go to the next slide. And I'm going to take a couple of seconds, man, to honor the brother George Floyd, who lost his life in the battle of addiction. I had a talk today, and I was talking about, about George Floyd. And a lot of people, even, I don't know how many of you watched the trial, and this is what we really need to recognize. A lot of people watched the trial and they were trying to criminalize this brother, and they were saying things like, basically, saying, oh, well, he passed a fake $20 bill. He didn't want to get in the police car. And a lot of people saw him as a criminal. So many people saw him as a criminal. But I'm not sure how many people are here today or that will watch this Zoom who have been heroin users, who have been addicted to opioids, and who have been in withdrawal and been sick. You ever been dope sick? You ever been sick? So when I seen what I saw a man that did not want to detox in a jail cell, right? And see, if I feel like if those police officers understood addiction like we understand addiction, somebody could have stepped back and said, George, what's going on? And you know what he would have said? Man, I ain't trying to detox in a jail cell, man. I'm dope sick. I just passed the $20 bill. I just tried to get off what some people call E. He was trying to get right? And those of us that understand addiction and that are in leadership roles, someday you're going to walk down a hall or you're going to be in a position and you might see somebody being mistreated because they were in a similar situation as George, and you'll be able to intervene because we understand addiction. We are empathetic and we are compassionate. Man, we are. Y'all hear what I'm saying, man? Somebody let me know if you in here, man. I feel like I'm just talking to Dylan. If you hear what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up, something, man. If you can hear my voice, let me know I'm not alone in this room, man. You in here? Okay, Matt. You know what I'm talking about? Because, see, these people didn't understand addiction like we understand addiction. And this is why the work that we do is very important. Okay. Making sure I ain't talking to myself, man. I want to make sure we in here, man. You know, I like coming here, but I don't want to be alone. Just me and Dylan in here, right? So check it. You know, we need to really acknowledge this. And when I was talking to this group of people today, their minds, you can literally see their minds, like, because nobody thought about that, right? Nobody thought about this brother being murdered because of his addiction, because he didn't want to be dope sick in jail. Now, somebody can say, look, George, you're going to jail, but we're going to take you to the hospital. We're going to get you set, right? Then this is going to happen. I might can get you out. We're going to get you into treatment. So many different things could have happened if somebody with some knowledge had been at the scene. But this was not. This is why what you guys are going to be destined to do is so important, because it's our job as people that are in recovery to educate the masses. Y'all hear what I'm saying, man? Let's go, man. Dylan, what's the next slide? Let's get it. Man, so for me, those of you that know is that, you know, for me, when I went to prison, I wrote a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan was my roadmap. You know, 5-year plan was the roadmap for me for recovery. And those of you that, you know, use the GPS, right? You put the address or whatever it is, wherever you're going. I don't know, like me, I'm always thinking about food. So I'm thinking about like Longhorn Steakhouse or something like that. When you put it in the GPS, you have a destination, right? So my 5-year plan was that GPS for life, man. I sat in that cell and I wrote, and then my whole time I was in prison, I was writing 5-year plans. And if nothing that we could do as leaders, we start to teach people how important that 5-year plan is. I want you guys to take this opportunity as you grow your businesses. You want to start organizations, you even teaching your whatever on campus, teaching about that 5-year plan, how to make that roadmap. Now that 5-year plan, I want to reiterate this again. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this on a month. What it means is it's just exactly like this, right? Is when you're saying in year 1, I want to accomplish this. In year 2, I want to accomplish this. Year 3, blah, 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 so on and so forth. When I work with brothers in prison who are doing big, substantial bids, I tell them about the 5-year plan and they get excited, right? Because they're like, you know, I'm doing 15 years. I'm like, and they're sad. I said, man, let me tell you about this 5-year plan. You doing 15 years? Well, let me tell you, the first 5 years, I want you to learn Spanish. The second 5 years, you know, the next 5 years, I want you to learn French. And then I want you to learn this. By the time you come out, you'll learn 3 different languages. They're like, oh, man. I was like, you know how many people are walking around that know 3 languages? You know, Kobe, God rest his soul, knew 7 languages. And people were impressed with that. So what we do is we try to like, you know, I hate the term taking lemons and turning it into lemonade, right? But think about it, man. This is what we doing, man. We take this thing, we getting it out the mud. Y'all with me? Yo, let me know y'all getting it out the mud, man. We getting it out the mud. We taking something and making it ours. You know, I don't want to date myself, but I used to make mud pies. Dylan, you ever make a mud pie when you was a kid? You take a little bit of water, you got to have the mud, the mud consistency, right? The consistency of the mud got to be dead right for you to make a mud pie or a dirt bomb, right? It's got to be dead right. So this is what we doing right now. We getting it out the mud, man. We taking it out the mud. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying, man. 7 languages, I already told you, man, 7 languages. So if you start to teach people, listen, man, where do you want to be in 5 years? If somebody says you don't know, you might need to change the circle. If they're not hit with that 5 years, you don't know, I don't know. You know, when I talk to some people, I said, where you want to be in 5 years? You know, some people say, and this is scary, a lot of young brothers tell me they just want to be alive. Wow. I'm like, wow. So that lets me know there's some work that I need to do. That lets me know I need to do some work, because all you want to be is alive. See, some people just want to be alive. Man, we trying to get people from striving to thriving. This is what we doing, man. Y'all about to be thriving. This is why you here. Those who ain't here, they missed it, man. They missed it. They missed it, man. We ain't giving this away, man. You're in the right building, man. Come on, Dylan. Let's go to the next slide, man. Let's get this. Okay. Okay, so y'all remember those classrooms I was telling you about? Prison was a classroom, and this was my HUD, and this was my first. This was a classroom too, and this was what some of my professors looked like. Little did I know they was a little misinformed. They didn't have all the information. They did teach me a few things. And now I go back to that classroom and I teach them some other things. I teach them that you don't have to. Hold on, listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to. I go back into my hood. I don't forget where I'm from. Remember that, right? I go back in the hood and I tell these brothers, you do not have to risk your freedom to have finances. You don't have to do these things. Like what I was told that I had to, this was the only way I could be successful was selling drugs. The only way that I could be this, and many people are going to tell us many different things. There are people right now that are telling you that you're wasting your time in college. You know, they're telling you that, you know, you're wasting your time or you'll never be anything. I don't know why you're doing that. They told me I should have never go back to school. You're too old to go back to school. You know what I told them? I said, I never heard nobody say you're too old to get money. I never heard anybody say you was too old to get money. And now, you know, so now those same people said, man, I want to do what you do. They don't even know what we do. They just say, I want to do what you do, right? But understand something, man. If nothing changes, what? Nothing changes. This is a saying. This is so true. But one of the things, though, when we start to change, our circle changes. And understand what that really means. Let that marinate. Let that marinate. When we change, our circle changes. I noticed when I was in school, my conversation was different. I had started to have different conversations. I don't know if y'all start to notice that because we in a classroom, like in the hood, when I used to be on this corner, you know, everything was, we would have arguments about stupid stuff too. Who was the best rapper? Who had the most money? And all this stuff that wasn't relevant, right? But when I went to school, I started to learn how to communicate differently, right? So now I can disagree with you and we just having a disagreement. I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to yell. I don't have to do nothing. I can articulate my point without, you know, we don't even have to argue about that. You could actually be wrong and I could be okay with that. I could be wrong and still be okay with that. You know, try it. It freaks people out. People don't even like that. We don't even argue. I'm like, yo, bro, I have no time to argue about that. I don't have time with that. But when people see us, when people see that, they see that change in you. Understand if nothing changes, man. No matter what, we gotta. But as soon as we start making these changes and we start doing other things, our circles changes, our conversation changes. You know, you guys are starting to do things on campus. You're going to do things that are powerful in the world. You're going to do things that are powerful. Your circle going to change. So those conversations are going to change. Your moves are going to change. You're going to have opportunities to do things that if you didn't make this step to go to school, you didn't make this step to get in collegiate recovery, you would not have the opportunity to do the thing. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, and I want you guys to reach back out to me once you're successful. Number one, take me to lunch. And if you really, you know, fly me somewhere nice, that's cool. But what I want you to do is tell me how great life is because you made the right steps, man. You made the right steps. You invested in you. There's no better investment than investing in you. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Somebody tell me right now, man, yo, I'm invested in myself. I'm invested in me today. I'm invested in me. I'm investing in me. Who you investing in? You invested in yourself, man. Let me know you investing in. Okay, you invested in you yourself today, man. Say I'm invested in me. Let's go, man. Let's get it, man. Y'all getting me excited, man. I don't even know what to do. Dylan, let's go to the next slide. Oh, I forgot about this one. Now that slipped that one in there. So, you know, y'all saw the beginning where I was in the tans and I had the jail suit on and I had the chain on and I thought I was so cool. Well, let me tell you, I never been cooler until I got that master's degree with that little thing they hang on your neck. I don't know what they call those things, Dylan, but they gave me a little scarf to hang on your neck, right? And man, let me tell you that, it's a stole. They gave me a stole, yeah. I stole some stuff in my day, but that's not what we're talking about, right? So they gave me the stole and I hung that on and those are my kids, right? And, you know, that day they got to see me walk across the stage and get that master's degree, right? After walking across many courtrooms and getting in and out of police cars. And, you know, I always say, man, we back to the brother George, man, by the grace of God, there go I, man, because that night, May 7, 2007, I was tased and choked by the police. For some reason, God allowed me to get off the, you know, let me to come home that night and make significant change. Remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. What if I didn't make those changes? What if I didn't make the change in that cell? What if I didn't make these steps? This would never be possible, man. You know, I had to what? Invest in myself in order for this to happen, right? Now that little guy that's sitting in the middle, I can't do that to him anymore because he's 6'10". You know, he is 6'10" and he's playing basketball in New Jersey now. But that's my guy. But you know what? Those choices that I made, those changes that I made all that possible. Y'all hear what I'm saying, man? Let's go, man. What's the next slide, Dylan? Where we at? So we talk about this, and man, I really want you guys to let this soak in, man, because you guys are going to get out there and you're going to work with organizations and you're going to create organizations and you're going to see funding. And you guys, those of you that are bosses that are going to be creating these systems or system changes, I like to call you disruptors, right? A lot of these systems right now, man, are operating off of, you know, they're making money off the surface stuff, right? And we talk about this before, where the drugs, alcohol, and behavior addictions, that's the stuff that they work on. You know, they'll send you they'll get you some MAT, they'll send you the NA, may get some alcohol, let me get you a therapist, but they don't want to do the hard work that you and I know that's necessary. The hard work with the racism, the oppression, the unsafe communities, poverty, isolation. See, that's the root stuff. This is why people reach outside themselves to use, because of these, you know, I'm taking drugs or I'm drinking alcohol. I'm suffering from behavioral addictions because I haven't addressed some of these root core issues that are deep down inside of me, right? Or that I may be experiencing. I'm experiencing racism, right? This racism that we experience in this country as Black and brown people makes us sometimes feel like there is something wrong with me. You know, I may feel like there's something wrong with me. Why do people follow me around the store? Why am I watching Black and brown people killed on TV and then nobody go to jail? You know, there must be something wrong with me. Or I'm different, or I'm less than, I'm alone. See, it's our job as leaders to wash all this root stuff away, or make these systems dig deeper, not just address the drugs and the alcohol, because we know these systems, we already know that this stuff is deeper than just the drugs. People, that's just the surface stuff. That's just the top of the iceberg, man. Limited resources, poverty. You know, I was watching this show. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, Drug Inc., you know, on one of those channels, you know, the National Geographic channels. And I'm watching the cops go into the neighborhoods and they're like, look at this guy. They're watching dudes make hand-to-hand sales. And I'm watching it. And, you know, you're watching Black and brown people getting arrested for like $20 rocks and, you know, little stuff. They're not arresting people for keys and stuff. And if you look at it from a poverty-stricken level, right? If you look at it from the poverty level, right? This dude's probably trying to make some money to get some food. He's not buying airplanes and he's not doing this. This dude is just trying to survive, probably because he's got a criminal record. And because he has a criminal record, he can't get a job. So the only job that's out there is to sell some nickel bags. Now we're not going to condone the behavior, but I always ask people, what wouldn't you do to survive? What wouldn't you do to put food on your table? Someone said, what was that? Oh, that's you, Dylan. That question at the university, does getting caught with substances get you in trouble, get you help, or both, or neither? And that's a great question, because when you look at that, you know, understanding how drugs and these systems work, right? What is there for the person? What is there for the person that's using? Right? Are they coming to help this individual? Are we trying to find out? Are we digging deeper? Right? Where we talk about this homophobia, isolation, poverty. You know, I'm alone. I'm beyond help. I'm powerless. I'm disposable. People are walking around right now with these feelings on campus right now. And they reach outside of themselves to get something to numb that pain of feeling like this. And until we are willing to make universities, organizations, and create space where we're willing, say, I'm willing to dig deeper. Anybody on this Zoom right now willing to dig deeper, man? Let me know, man. Hit me up. So let me know in the chat box, are you willing to dig deeper? Because see, that surface stuff, that alcohol, drugs, and behavior, that's just the start. But we got to dig deeper in order for us to really change unsafe communities. We got to make those communities safer, addressing oppression and poverty and isolation. Are you willing to dig deeper, or are you just playing games? Because you don't need this. You could just go out there and get a regular job to do this. You don't need to go to college. Listen, let me tell you, you don't got to go to college to do the surface stuff. But if you're real and you're trying to be a leader, leaders dig deeper, man. Let's go, man. Let's go. Eugene, you digging deeper? Let's go, because this is where the real work is at, and this is where the bosses is at. Next slide. This is my favorite, man. I see y'all committed, man. Let's go, man. Let's have this conversation. I'm excited, man. So I want y'all, this is a special picture for me. So it says, what do you see? Right? And when I don't even think Dylan knows this one, right? When I first, I did I got one of my first awards. I went to an awards dinner and they were honoring me at this awards dinner. So I was like, oh, shoot, this is cool, right? So I went to this awards dinner and they had this thing called a silent auction. Now, I'm from the hood, man. I don't know what a silent auction is. I had a couple of dollars. I was eating dinner. I felt like I wanted to donate to the place, right? So they said, oh, no, this is what you do. You bid on things, right? So there was this, I was looking around and, I was like, oh, I'm going to bid on that painting. So I started bidding, right? I put like a little, I think I did like a $10 bid or something like that. Then I was battling. Some guy was trying to buy the painting. Now I'm back. You know how we are, right? So I got into this like bidding war for this painting. Needless to say, you already know who got it, right? So I got this painting because it was important to me, right? Because what it is a young man, you see this little boy with this tire and you see this long road. So when I bought it, and to me, it was a symbolization. Hold on, man, hear what I'm saying. This picture symbolized to me how far I had come, because I did a lot of work. I put the work in, man. So now I'm being honored. I'm getting an award. I said, this is the first painting, and it's hanging in my house right now. And this was like, look how far I've come. I'm gonna buy a piece of art, right? So check this out. I bring the painting home. I'm super excited. I can't wait to frame it and hang it in my house. I say to my daughter, I said, yo, what do you see? She says, wow, you got a long way to go. And I was like, what? I said, what you say? She said, look at how far he's got to go. Look how far, long way. So it depends on who's looking at the picture and how you're looking at it. See, me, I looked at it, I had come a long way. She looked at it and said, you got a long way to go. It's all in how you look at this journey, man. How far have you come, or how far are you going to go? This is what do you see? What do you see when you look at your life, man? What do you see when you look at your life, man? It's a true story, man. Thank you, Eugene, because that's real, man. And one of the things, man, every time I talk to Dylan and we start putting these things together, we talk about being authentic. We talk about being our authentic self. That's all you can be. It don't matter. Never take anybody's style, man. Take your style and make it your own, because that's where that's what people like, man. I was at a press conference yesterday, and I just went to attend the press conference. And they said, hey, Daryl, you want to have something to say? All these news cameras and stuff. I didn't know what the hell to say because I wasn't prepared. But we as leaders, we always got something. I just started yelling, recovery, reentry, whatever. And people started cheering and everything. And it was crazy. And this lady came up to me at the end and she said, you made me almost want to cry. It was such a spiritual moment. I was like, I just really did what the spirit led me to do. But I was telling my boy, I said, next time I'm just going to go yell, Jello, strawberry jello, and see what people say. They're like, no, well, what does that mean? And it just means something. It's special, man. Recovery, reentry, man. We talk about jello, But I just want you to think about that, man, for this picture, man. What do you see, man, when you're doing on this journey? And we're always prepared. As leaders, we're always prepared, man. Because it's interesting when they said, do we have something to say? Absolutely, man. You know what? I always take it back to the authentic self. And this was about reentry, and we're talking about clean slate and cleaning those of us that have criminal records, where we have this bill 1019, the SB 1019, and it's about clean slate, and it's about getting rid of the criminal record, erasing the criminal record after a certain period of time, because we know how this criminal record is still preventing. Even though with me with letters behind my name, I'm still being prevented from getting into certain places. So, and I had an opportunity to be a part of that, and it was a movement, and, I had an opportunity to be on the news and tell the people that were in the cells, because I remember when I was in the cell and I was watching the news, nobody ever talked to me. I got to be on the news, and I said, you know what? We love you. Those of you that are in the cells, we love you, man. And, because our message should always be to our people. Yes, we work in these systems, we work all these different places as leaders, but our messaging should always be to our people. We got to let them know we speak their language, we love them, and we care about them. Right before I came on, we had a guy right now just trying to get into treatment. This is how I realized I don't even do that level of work anymore. But you think I'm not going to answer my phone and be trying to get somebody a bed every day until I die? I don't care how much money I make. I don't care what my title is. I will work to get people into beds. That's what I will do. Let's go, man. Next slide. I know, Dylan, keep me on track, man. So my lessons from working with the collegiate recovery this year, we can't do this alone. We aren't alone. Defining collegiate recovery, and our words matter, right? And all those things like that. I think that this is key, man. What are the lessons that some of you have gotten from collegiate recovery? What have you done? Let me hear from you guys. Talk to me in the chat box. You guys want to, shoot me something in the chat box. Tell me what you learned so far. Dylan, you want to jump in anywhere? How you doing over there, bro?
Good. We have a couple minutes before the Q&A. So I'm thinking, because you worked with the Pennsylvania schools this year quite a bit. I'm curious, thinking back to them, a lot of them were starting from ground zero when it comes to collegiate recovery, and you got to talk to them. I'm curious if anything sticks out to you from what you learned from that experience.
Yeah. When I was thinking about just working with those groups, like a lot of people had different ideas and grandiose, and I always had to be the person in recovery at the table. And that means back to the authentic self, right? Because there were a lot of high, like what we call 30,000 feet in the air ideas. But you know what? For us, it's simple, right? Making sure that we have a safe place, making sure that we have people, when you come through a door and you call it a reentry or recovery center or recovery space, the first person I want to see is a person in recovery, not a clinician. I want to see somebody in recovery. I want somebody to look like me, that talks like me, that understands, you know what I mean? And I think that having to remind people of that, and then sometimes how language matters, right? We talked about, one of the things that we talked about, I think to me that was significant, that I even learned myself as younger people that are in recovery or living substance-free lifestyles, is how we talk about that now, right? So I might say recovery, but you might say, I'm living a substance-free lifestyle. That shit's kind of cool. I think that's fly. Like, I wish that I had that. Like, I want to put that on my shirt. I think we talked about that. I want to get a shirt that says I'm living a substance-free lifestyle. I thought that was chill. And if I see y'all with the shirts, man, just shoot me a couple of dollars, man, because we talked about this before. I coined the phrase. I just want to make sure y'all remember where you heard it first. But and I think that, but making sure that people understand, and that nothing else, making sure that we're at the table. And if the table doesn't fit us, then we need to build our own tables. We need to set our own tables. We can't allow people to just let us sit there and be voiceless. So I think that that's a lot that I learned from collegiate recovery, that making sure that our voices are loud and proud, man, And we can't do this alone though. But you know, in being that voice, especially on a college campus, you know, making sure you're talking to the right people and explaining and articulating why we need these spaces, you know?
Yeah, I always think how great it was to have you in those conversations, because you aren't like a collegiate recovery professional in the sense that like some of us are, where you kind of like indoctrinated into the language of it, and you were like just cutting through the shit. Like, no, too much. Like you're it's not that difficult. It's not that complicated.
Right. That was cool.
Do that. We need to do that way more often, and just like do what needs to be done rather than making it complicated to sound smart, I guess.
And we can do that in all the rooms, because then they know that, you know, that's the tape, that's the role, that's our role. Sometimes it's, you know, we get put in these places and then you sit there and you're like, what the hell are they talking about, man? No, just open the building and, you know, have some juice and cake and let people come there. You know, why are we overthinking it? You know, and sometimes, a lot of times, you know, it's interesting. I know that in speaking to like a parent, and you know, and we were talking about stigmatizing some of the way they were setting up the buildings was stigmatizing, and people wouldn't want to live in them because the way it's like, oh, this is that building. But I said, but anytime, one of the things that I try to do is make recovery look attractive, man. You know what I mean? We want people to be attracted. Like if it's kind of like, you know, and I always say one of the things that a lot of people said that, you know, oh, recovery in the beginning, I used to hear a lot of people say, oh, you sold out, recovery is soft. Let me tell you, man, one of the toughest things that I ever had to do was get into recovery. The hardest things I ever had to do, I've been in a lot of things in the street, but you know, when somebody dies, I don't get to have a drink. I don't get to smoke. If I lose a job, I don't get to, you know what I mean? We thug our way through everything. We face everything head up. And a lot of people don't understand that until we articulate that to them. Like, listen, we're not hiding from nothing. We face every problem that we have, good, bad, or indifferent, head up, you know? Let's go, man. Y'all still here, man? Where my friends at? What we doing?
We're going to invite Isabel and kind of...
Isabel, where you at?
I'm right here. Hey, Daryl. Hey, everyone. What's going on? I'm good. I'm glad we both got the green for Earth Day. Happy Earth Day.
I know. We didn't tell Dylan we were going to rock green, but you know.
We kept it a secret.
I know. So, yeah, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much.
You see some stuff in the chat box? How we doing?
We're doing good. Something I'm wondering personally, like what is the very first step someone could take to start really trusting themselves and like investing in themselves, as you phrased it, especially like on a college campus, which sometimes tells us like you need to prioritize academics, you need to prioritize these things, like
you know, that's a great question. I think that, you know, we talk about recovery capital. I don't know if you guys talk about it a lot on the campus, but recovery capital is like those little goals, man. Like we talked about the 5-year plan, but I like to talk about like the little goals, like, you know, I don't know, I want to write this report, or I'm going to get an A in this class, or I'm going to do that. I get that. And it's those little wins, right? The little wins become big wins. And those things keep reassuring me that, like, you know, and that's how it did it for me. Even though when I first started my recovery journey, I was doing correspondence courses in prison, right? And it was crazy because I would have to like do the exam, send it out, wait for the grades to come back. But every time I did one and I got it back and I got a 90, I was super excited. Now, there's 1,000 people in this prison. People are, all kinds of chaos is going on, like on campus. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but I'm in my own zone and I'm getting these little wins, right? These little wins because I had that 5-year plan. I had that plan that I was going to go out and do something. So those little exams and getting good grades, and nobody really knew. You know, like I said, there's a prison, 1,500 people in there. I would get my little mail, I would get my books, and I would be in my cell getting those little wins and, you know, getting better and better. And really, I learned a lot through that process, you know. I mean, really found recovery through that process because I started to understand how substances affected the brain and all these different things that now I use now as a certified addictions counselor. It was easy for me to take the addictions counselor exam because when I was in prison, I was studying the effects of substances. So it's crazy how it all meshed together.
Yeah, those little wins really add up after enough
huge,
time.
huge. And they're just for you. They're personal, right? So you don't even got to tell. A lot of times we go wrong with telling people our goals, telling people what we want to do, right? And people sometimes out of their own fear or their own laziness try to talk us out of our wins and our goals. People, if I listen to people, I would never have my own business. I wouldn't own a house. I wouldn't do any of the things that I have. I wouldn't have them if I listened to people. And sometimes they come dressed as family members, friends, or whatever. We gotta listen to ourselves, man. Sometimes that inner voice is the best voice that we listen to.
For sure. You mentioned the 5-year plan. I'm wondering, like, how would you apply a 5-year plan in times of transition? Like if people are transferring colleges or just things kind of going in different directions.
Yeah, that's a great question too. Like, it depends where I was at, right? So just say I just got on campus, I'm fresh in my recovery. First thing I would try to do, like, let's just say if it was my first day in recovery, right? I'd be trying to do something what we call in recovery, in addiction recovery, a 90 and 90, right? Sometimes that's your first win. I'm gonna go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Boom, right? And this is what we encourage people to do. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days. If I'm a little further along than that, I might say in 1 year, I plan to, make the dean's list. Or in 1 year, I'm gonna try to connect with recovery clubs and I'm gonna do this. Or if I look around the campus and I don't see any substance-free programming or lifestyles, I'm gonna find 5 people who want to live substance-free. And maybe we start to connect and maybe we start to build something on campus. Within a year, I want to have 10 substance-free people in my group, creating a space that we meet every week, just chilling, where we don't need alcohol or drugs to feel good. You know what I mean? We doing our own thing. Shoot, by the end of the year, by the end of 2 years, man, we might be throwing substance-free conferences. You know what I mean? I say conferences because I'm always in my business brain, but I would say that we'd be throwing substance-free. I'm excited to throw my first substance-free concert. You know what I mean? Parties where they're substance-free. Like, you got to make substance-free the hottest thing on campus, right? Yeah, they might be having a keg party over there, but everybody that's hot is in the substance-free party right here. This is where it's at. And then they come there and say, where the beer at? Like, man, we don't need no beer. Check out the music, man. Y'all don't hear this? This is how we live, and we live like this every day. Man, come on, man. This is what we do. We make substance-free attractive, right? Let's go, man. We got.
I love it. How do you avoid burnout while still being so passionate?
You know what? I don't, man, burnout. I don't see the burnout because, man, I come from some places, right? I remember where I come from, right? Remembering where I come from, I remember that jail cell. I remember the drug addiction. I remember when I was at my lowest. This is all exciting. I'm still excited. I'm enjoying the ride. There is no burnout because, number one, I get to do some really cool stuff. I get to meet people like you guys, right? I get to hang out here. I've been to Shippensburg. Pennsylvania. I hung out at the university over there and met some real cool people. Can't wait to go back there. And I get to do that stuff. I get to also be my authentic self. I don't have to, like, one of the worst things that we can ever do is act like someone else and people start to like that person. And now all of a sudden I got to be that person every time I go out my house. Now I can just be this person and be straight. I don't got to never act like nothing. And when people like you cool with it because that's who you are. Every time you meet me, man, this is who you go and get. And I think that's what's important about this. That's one of the most important things is really being about ourselves. And I don't see that, by the grace of God, I don't think about the burnout because I'm not living a fake life. I'm living a real life. This is how I live every day. If you called me, it was just me and you, I would still be like, yo, Isabel, yo, check this, this is what I'm doing. I was just on the collegiate recovery call and, this is what we're doing, this is not fake. So there's no burnout. I think it's burnout when you're working too hard at something that's not of you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's like going with your heart, your gut.
Yeah, this is what we
do.
And I think that the true gift is finding your lane. Like I was talking to a person in recovery today who is amazing, but she's not living her authentic self. She's trying to do too many things. I said, yo, you're really good at this. How come you don't just do that? You know, why don't you just do that? She's like, wow, how am I going to make money doing that? I'm like, you're good at it. Just consult or do whatever. Like, but turn that into revenue. When we can turn what we do that we love doing into revenue, sky's the limit.
So you said you don't really think about the burnout. I'm wondering if you think about failure at all and how you kind of frame failure. How do you bounce back?
Yeah,
I call it failure.
I don't call it failure. I call it experiences. I understand that, you know, I don't believe like, you know, the failure. I don't believe in that because you know what? It just, you know, it was a thing that didn't work, right? So how do I tweak it? How do I make it better? Right? There's no such thing as failure. Failure is for losers, man. We don't rock like that. I thought we got bosses in the room. We got leaders. That means that we just got to tweak it a little bit better. It didn't work the way we had planned. So we had to do something else, right? So there's no such thing as failure. You know, it's just, you know, failure actually is probably one of the, you know, when things don't work, that's the best thing because we get experience. We always get paid off the failure base. Like the thing that we get from it not working is experiences. And we actually understand that thing didn't work. So, okay, so let me try it again. You know, and what makes us really cool and what makes us who we are is because we're not scared to it not to work the first time and we go back and do it again. And we go back and do it again, and we talk about those wins, then you know what, man, I'm blessed to even be here. There's you know how many doors close all the time. I've had a lot of no's in my life, but you know, it's the wins that really get us, man. You know, the guy from KFC, they always say that he had 1,000 no's, and Tom Brady was picked 199 or something like that. 199. He was the 199th pick. Tom Brady, now he's known as the best quarterback in the league, you know, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play football. But remember, he was picked 199. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. I could go on and on. All these people who people looked at, and if they listened to people in their camp, yeah, that would be failure. But that just made me want to try even harder. There's many people that told me I couldn't do nothing. I would never be nothing. I'm like laughing at them right now. Look, I'm on a Zoom with you.
I really love the quote, rejection is redirection.
Yeah, right. Yep, I love that. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so Matthew's wondering how much of an obstacle has your record been when it comes to licensing?
So I haven't done any so I'm a certified addictions counselor, certified criminal justice professional. I'm on pursuit to get my license in alcohol and drug counseling, which doesn't seem for that to be an obstacle. It's more about, you know, making sure I take the right counseling classes, because when I got my master's, I didn't get it in counseling. So I had to go back for counseling courses. You know, right now I run my own consulting organization. So the screening process was really no problem. Like we hire felons, right? So, and my boss is really cool because it's me, but it has been some obstacles though. There's been places that said, hired me, gave me the job, told me to go take the urinalysis and everything. And then they said, oh, you got a criminal record. No, and they didn't get, and then I didn't get the job. But you know what? I'm right now, I'm working towards, you guys, those of you that pray, man, I'm this close to getting a TED Talk. So if I get this TED Talk, man, we're going to be on the map, and when I get the TED Talk, I always say I want to thank all those people that said no. I want to thank everybody that didn't hire me because I had a criminal record, because those are the people that, they didn't hire me or they said no. Those are the people that inspire me, because now, I do these talks now. And sometimes it's so crazy today that you ask me that question. A place that let me go, right, based off of my history, I did a presentation and they were on the call today. And I was sitting in my chair and I saw the guy that told me today was my last day. And I was sitting in my chair and I was swinging back and forth because I was like, yep, you see me now, right? We're still on the same call. And I'm making a lot more money now than what you were paying me. And it feels real good to be able to do that. So yeah, man, nothing holds us back when we're inspired. Like, you know, this was a great day, man. I love seeing that guy because, you know, I know he's one like, man, look at this guy, still thriving, still going swinging for the fences. Nothing can stop us, man. Nothing. Because we've already been through the worst, man. Those of us that have been through addiction, I've been through addiction. I've been in prison. You think a simple no is going to stop me? Come on, man. That's nothing. That's nothing. Not getting a job, not getting this thing. I'm inspired by that, man. I've been to prison. I made it. I've been through addiction. I got through that. Man, a no is a small thing.
I hope you get that TED Talk, Daryl.
Man, I know, right? Right? Man, I hope I get that. That's going to be the rough. Because then I could tell that guy, I might even send him, hey, did you know I got a TED Talk? Right? Yeah, we'll see, though. We'll see. I'm hoping I get it, though. But I'm a little nervous. I'm not, you know, we all family, so I'm going to say this. You only get like 900 seconds. This guy calls me, he says, you know, I know you're about to do this TED Talk. He says, you know, it's 900 seconds of pure hell. I'm like, damn, why did he say that, right? But it's 900 seconds, so you don't get to like, you know, you get 900 seconds. That's what you get. So it's crazy.
You'll make it work.
All
right, so we're going to do one more question before we wrap up.
All right, cool.
How do you compromise and when do you not? And what are some things you personally would never compromise on?
That's dope. I really, really appreciate that question. I compromise, you know what? People are people, man. We try to, you know, I don't know. I never compromise my morals. So I could start with that. I don't compromise my morals. I was an organizer for many different organizations. And I was an organizer for, and I'll say I was an organizer for the solitary confinement group. And, you know, I was really wholeheartedly wanting to end solitary confinement. But I was experiencing some racism from some of the people that ran the group. So they paid me really good money, but I had to walk away from it because they didn't fit with my morals. And that's not the first time that I walked away from. I mean, I didn't have money. I don't have money now, right? But money is not the thing that's going to keep me. It's making sure that I feel good about what I'm doing. So therefore, and you know, when I walked away from these things with no money, bigger opportunities came to me. So I don't compromise my morals. I try because I won't feel good about it, right? And I got to feel good about what I do. I got to believe in the organization. If you see me talking there's certain people I don't talk to. There's certain newspapers never get an article from me, never, ever, because they didn't treat me right or they don't do right or they don't stand for this or there's people in the community I don't do business with because I don't compromise my morals. So, and I think that the compromise comes from, we're always open to work with people, man. You know what? And I think that if there is a compromise, it's me meeting people where they're at. And I think that that's like always be willing to meet people where they're at. I think that that's the compromise that I find myself making, if anything. But I don't play around with the morals because I don't want to feel like, you know, for lack of it's nighttime, right? Don't I can say shit, right? I don't want to feel like shit, right? I don't want to feel like that. So I always try to, you know, keep it real with myself. If I could keep it 100 with myself, everything else is gravy.
Great. Well, thank you both. It's fun to listen to you both chat. And Daryl, it's always fun to chat with you. And I guess closing question I have, Daryl, is I love the idea of like never forget where you come from. And I think it's always easy to kind of look back in judgment to where we come from, though. Yeah. And kind of like, yeah, it's like this war within ourselves. So we don't want to go back. And so we don't want to let it get too close sometimes. What is a lesson that you still remind yourself every day that you only learned because of where you're from?
Well, I think that, man, that's a good one. I think that, you know, for me though, I understand, especially for coming from where I look from where I come from addiction. I know that, you know, I don't fool myself about addiction. I don't play around with it. I take it serious. I know I don't fool myself. I know a lot of people, and I even seen a star the other day talking about their California sober. I don't even know what the hell that is, right? That would be dangerous. That would be dangerous territory for me. So one thing that my hood and where I come from showed me that drugs will kill me. Drugs and alcohol together, however you want to look at it, brought me to my lowest place in life, right? So one of the things that I've learned from that experience is to respect them. I don't play around with them. I don't mess around with that, because I was in a wicked place, man. I was in a it cost me my freedom. It almost cost me my family. It cost me my self-esteem. So we don't want to look back, but I also have to respect that part of my life. And a lot of people get success, or they get to a certain point, and people say, well, you've been clean for all this amount of time. You can have one beer. Nah, man, no, I can't. I'm so scared to pick up, right? Because of how dirty that drugs had done me. So, I told you, y'all seen the picture, $250,000 bond, man. I ain't fucking around. Nah, I'm good. Right. Some people understand what I'm saying. And that's the piece of it. We know we're done when we're done, right? But understanding that I don't care how long it takes for the rest of our lives, we have to respect that line. I can't do it. Some people go back and, we pray for them and we try to hold them down, but I never forget how bad it was.
Appreciate you sharing that. And just the last thing I have today is just again, thank you a million times, Daryl. Thank you for everybody who came.
No doubt.
The final webinar is in 2 weeks. I put the link in chat. I can put it in again. For those of you who have never met Sam Randall, she is an angel. And we're going to talk about, what does it mean to create space and hold space for people in a way that is like deeply and like almost spiritually empowering. And so it's May 6th, 7 to 8 p.m. And sign up. And I'll be here for a couple more minutes if people want to stick around and ask any more questions, but we're going to end the recording there. Again, thanks y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.